Hi, my name's Faye Andrews and I work at Grand Slams like the Australian Open and here at Wimbledon, and also at WTA events and big sporting events like the Olympics. My job is to organise press conferences and media interviews for players and athletes. In this video we're going to talk about and show some examples of tennis players doing media interviews so that you can pick up some useful tips and advice. Media is like a big shop window for our sport. It's how fans get to know players, and more importantly, it's why sponsors and TV companies put money into tennis. The more media coverage, the more sponsors, the more TV exposure, and the more opportunity for you in your tennis career. This is the main interview room at Wimbledon. A lot of amazing champions have sat in this chair, and perhaps you'll get to sit here one day too. But don't forget, there are lots of different forms of media. It's not just about big press conferences. Media can also mean speaking to one journalist face-to-face or on the phone, doing a TV interview, having your matches streamed online or on TV, having your photo taken, or even just posting something on Instagram. Take a look at some of the different kinds of media that players do. Players on the ATP and WTA tours do photo shoots and video shoots for content that is used throughout the year to promote the tour and tournaments. Players often do glamorous photo shoots for glossy magazine covers, which is a great way to reach new fans. At big tournaments, players do press conferences so that they can talk to lots of journalists at the same time. But they also do one-on-one interviews that give them the opportunity to talk about a specific subject. So why is media important? We asked Nicola Arzani, who manages media for the ATP Tour, to explain.
Well, media relations is very important in our sport, obviously, for the athletes to be able to communicate to the fans through the media about what they like, about their personality. It's very important for the fans to find out more about each player, not only what they do on court.
Here's Alex Pryor from the WTA communications team to explain what happens when you do media after a match on the WTA or ATP tour.
Normally the procedure is that they'll come to us first and they'll tell us what they want to do, what the story's about, whether it's a feature or whether it's just post-match press, that type of stuff. So then we'll come and meet you after your match. You don't have to do press straight away. If you've lost, you can take a bit of time and decompress and kind of get all that frustration out of your system. So we normally give our players about 30 to 45 minutes if they want, before they sit down with the journalist, and we'll be with you as well to help moderate in case there's any difficult questions.
The person who looks after media and communications at Tennis Europe is Jonathan Jobson. You might have seen him at tournaments. Here are some tips for enjoying working with the media. Doing media stuff can be fun, so embrace it. Make sure you wear sponsor clothes or show sponsor logos when you're on TV or having your photo taken. A good thing to do when you do media interviews is to always ask who the journalist is and where the interview will be shown. For TV interviews, it's also important to ask if the interview is live or if it's being recorded. If it's recorded, that means you can go back and repeat what you've said again if you don't like how you said it. Here's another good bit of advice from ATP player Martin Klizan. Improve your English.
I have one funny story that when I won French Open Juniors 2006, I remember my English wasn't that good, and I had a press conference and I couldn't say one word in English. I was so shy also, and it was embarrassing, and then I realized that I need to work on my English.
If anybody ever asks you a question that you think's difficult, remember you don't have to know the answer. You are always in control of the answer that you give.
Serena, sorry, this is kind of a negative one to end on, but there have been a few comments made in the last couple of weeks from people like Billie Jean King that maybe you should stop being a celebrity for a year and stop fighting for equality and just focus on the tennis. How do you respond to that?
Well, the day I stop fighting for equality and for people that look like you and me, will be the day I'm in my grave.
Remember, it's not just important what you say in interviews, but how you say it. Just like when you're on court, body language is really important. Think about how you are sitting or standing, try to keep your shoulders back, don't hunch or slouch, and try to smile. You may not want to smile if you've lost a match, but you should always be aware what your body is saying when you are speaking. Try not to give just yes or no answers that are too short. Say a few lines and try to paint a picture of what you're saying. Now let's look at players doing a good job with media. Simona Halep has just won Wimbledon. Now she's showing how happy she is with her smile and her body language.
I wanted this badly. When I started the tournament, I talked to the people from the locker room that my dream is to become a member here. So today it's real and I'm really happy.
Alexander Zverev gives just enough detail on his superstition to make it fun to listen to.
I always put my shoes in the right position before I go to bed. It's always like, has to be perfect. My shirt and my shoes have always to be perfect. But then when I'm on court, I'm not putting my bottles in the right position. I just throw them in the bag, and I don't care where they are. But you know, before I go to sleep, everything has to be perfectly. Otherwise, I can't sleep.
Remember that media takes practice, just like tennis. Media can take a little bit of your time, but remember, it's the shop window where potential sponsors can see you, and it helps promote the sport. So the most important advice that we can give you about media is enjoy it, and also remember you're always in control. No one can ever make you say something that you don't want to say. So use the media to your advantage, and it can help you have a really successful career on court and even when you've stopped playing.